from Queensland in Australia. I'm 60 years old now, and I got to the stage where I've had difficulty with my knees for probably the last 14 years. And it got to a stage recently where I was having a lot of trouble to walk. I couldn't really do my job properly. I work in the Middle East as a chief mechanic, looking after land oil rigs, and it involves a lot of climbing and going up and down stairs and various things like that. When I was back in Australia, I went to my doctor on a routine check because I also have to consultate with the doctor at home and also overseas quite regularly because I have a regular heartbeat that's caused through fibrillation of my atrium and also hypertension. When I was at the doctor's, I talked to her about the need to have something done with my knees. It turned out in Australia it's quite a big problem because I'm not there very often, and so I work with people from various countries, including India, and they said, well, why don't you come to India and have it done there? And I've seen on TV before where some other people have done that within Australia, and so I thought that it was a good idea, but where do you start? Well, these days with the internet, there's a wealth of information. I tried some of the big multinational hospitals, but unfortunately I had a lot of trouble to get response from them. And looking up for this information, I come across the Madras Knee Clinic as I turned up in the internet, and I found the doctor. Because of the problems of trying to get things done in Australia, it takes so long, and all of a sudden my knees started to deteriorate quite badly over the last 6 months. I decided that I would pursue checking with the doctor on the internet to see what we could do, bearing in mind my problems. So I corresponded with emails to the doctor, and he suggested that I send him all my relevant details that I could, and also I took a photo so that he could see that I am an obese person, and knowing the problems that are associated with that also. Well, it come back from the doctor that he would like to check me out to see what he could do for me, whether it was possible to do anything or whether it was not possible at all. So I had been on leave in Australia, and I came back to the Middle East early by the way of Chennai, where I came and visited with the doctor, and in the process I saw all the other doctors within the three days that were available to have that, and they were full-on days. I would get there early in the morning. I would see the doctors, from the cardiologist, the dermatologist, everybody, and so went through all the various checks to check my heart, my problems associated with my obesity, and check also the problems with my knees, that what actually required to be done. So in that 3 days, I was able to get a clearance from the cardiologist, which was my main real source of concern, and also I saw the anaesthetist, who I expressed to him that my concerns about actually, I mean, it's not that I have concerns about the anaesthetist or anything like that. It's just that in the past I've had problems with my dad, who had gone to do the same thing in New Zealand, and there was a mix-up and he was given the wrong anaesthetic, and it basically finished his life. Well, because of that, I have major concerns for myself, especially concerning the problems that I already have. But when I visited with all these people and the detailed tests and everything else that they did, my fears were relieved. The anaesthetist, he took me down and made sure that everything was going to work. The plan was at that time was to have both my knees done. We were going to do both of them at the same time, but the anaesthetist, he, in his wisdom, which I'm grateful for, he said, no, we'll do one at a time, which is exactly what we did, as it worked out. So I went off to my job and kept in touch with the doctor, and while I was there I had some further tests done just to check that there was no other problems or infections or anything, which unfortunately it turned out that I had a urinary tract infection, but we'd been able to get in there and get some medication. So by the time that I went back to Chennai, after I'd finished my work, the infection was all but cleared. When I got back to Chennai to have my knees done, we basically went over most of that testing again to make sure that I was still right for the operation. So we had a little bit of a problem because mainly to do with my size. But after we delayed the operation for 4 days, and then we went ahead and did my first knee.